The Chevy Equinox EV provides big range figures at relatively affordable prices here in 2025. But if you care about range, you're probably doing a lot of miles on the highway. So what sort of highway efficiency numbers can you expect here in the real world? Today we find out. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2025 Chevrolet Equinox EV. In this test, I'm going to head out on the highway and do 50 miles out and 50 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour, to get a realistic range and efficiency number for this compact electric crossover. Now before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Now this, as evidenced by the kids' music and the relative dirtiness, is actually our personal Equinox EV, and we've tested these on the first drive before, and we had a base model, a $35,000 Equinox EV that we compared against this. But this is one that we've now had for about 4 months or so. It's an LT model with the Convenience Pack 2, Convenience Package Level 2, which means we got most of the bells and whistles, just not Super Cruise, which admittedly would be nice to have tonight. Other than that, though, we've got just about everything that the Equinox can come with. So if you do want to see more on this car, check the link below for our ownership intro and some of the other videos we've shot. But without any further ado, let's get this test rolling. Now, I did take this out on a highway range test with Alyssa, where she piloted this car and I piloted the base car with the 19-inch wheels to see if those different type of wheels made a difference in efficiency, and essentially they did not. There was a negligible rounding error level of difference in efficiency between the two cars. So this test should apply to all Equinox EVs out there. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's fuel economy and range test, which gives this Equinox EV 319 miles in mixed driving on a full charge, which coincidentally is exactly what we have showing on our dash right now, 319. That test only averages 48 miles per hour, and that's actually the highway test. So let me do some quick math real quick to see what the EPA would be giving us here. So it's 109 combined and 100 highways. So if we go 319 divided by 109 times 100, we're getting about 293 miles of estimated range at highway speeds from the EPA test. Anyway, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going somewhere on the highway, I want to go about 70. I want to go up around the speed limit, if not a little bit more, and I want to get there in a good amount of time. So I'm not looking to hypermile or go slower in order to save range. No, I want to know how efficient this car is traveling at the same speed that I would in a gasoline car. So in order to test that out, we're all charged up here. We've got our tire pressure set at their door placard 42 PSI cold. And we're going to head out and do those 100 miles. And I'm going to come back and charge the car all the way back up. We're going to see how much electricity it took and see what sort of efficiency we got. So before we actually start up the car, let's get our cameras going. Let's get our GPS reset. And let's get our climate control set to 73 degrees auto. We're ready to begin. Now we do technically have a few different drive modes here in the Equinox EV. They're in the screen. We've got normal, sport, snow and ice, and my mode. We're just going to be doing this test in normal. I kind of find it nice that there isn't any sort of eco mode, because if I'm driving around my EV here in the real world and I'm not driving sporty, I would like it to be economical all the time. Now, Chevy was smart in that when you have one pedal driving mode on, which you can enable right there, and you have a full charge, it actually activates the friction brakes for you in order to bring the car to a stop as you're expecting and continue to give you one pedal driving. There are other EVs like our Tesla Model Y that we had, where if the battery were charged all the way to full, your regen, it wouldn't really work because you can't pack the battery full of electrons when it's all the way full like that. And it wouldn't activate the friction brakes. So you just simply wouldn't have the same braking that you were used to and expecting if you charge the car to full. But that's not the case here with the Equinox EV. Looks like outside temperature tonight's about 71 degrees Fahrenheit. That should drop down into the high 60s by the time we wrap up the test. So it is possible we'll be running a little bit of heat by the time we finish. But like I said, the goal here isn't to hypermile. We're not trying to get the best possible fuel economy result for this car, but just a realistic figure. So in order to do that, I'm getting up to highway speed here at a reasonable pace. I'm going to set the cruise control to a GPS indicated 71 miles per hour. That should allow us to average about 70 over the whole test. Looks like our speedometer is quite accurate to the GPS. 71 on the dash is giving us 71 on the GPS. That is where we will settle in. Fellow electric vehicle owner over there, EV9. Initial highway impressions, it's actually a pretty quiet car. For being the budget electric vehicle from more of a budget car company, doing a pretty good job with the sound deadening in here. Got our cruise set, still have adaptive cruise control and a basic active lane keeping functionality. Oh, we even have the sunroof open and yet quiet. So I'm going to continue on with the test, do some members only sound system tracks, and catch up with you at the end. In the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip.
Counting down the miles as the sunlight fades, just me and my thoughts on this interstate. Curious heart keeps time with the dash display, pushing a little further every day. Oh, keep rolling. Oh, keep going. Quiet hum of wheels on the open road, breathing in the future, letting old fears go. Each green marker tells me how far to home, laughing at the miles I used to know. Every sign ahead draws me further out, wondering how long.
Coming into the end of the highway range test here in the Equinox EV, I'm continually impressed by how nice of a car this is to be in. Again, you would think, okay, Chevy's trying to save money, put out an affordable electric vehicle, they're going to cut corners, and sure, maybe they have somewhere, but I really do think the electric powertrains are starting to get to some degree of economies of scale for them, because this is a quiet, comfortable place to be on the highway. I like driving this car, I really do. And I felt that way about the base Equinox EV as well. It's not like you have to spend 48 grand to get into this fancier one in order for it to be a nice place to spend time in. No, the basic one, it doesn't have as many features, not quite as comfortable, but still nice. I'm also fairly impressed with the efficiency. Looking at 3.0 miles per kilowatt hour as of now, coming in near the end, and the state of charge remaining sort of lines up with that, 66% state of charge, so essentially just over a third of the battery used, and we've traveled 97.6 miles actually. So if you were to multiply that out, you'd be getting about 290 miles on a charge, and that's right about what those EPA numbers were giving us. So it's pretty impressive. There's kind of no way around that. But we do need to get the final numbers. We need to get it back home and charge it all up and see what we get. Now, I am hoping that we can get it all the way charged tonight before Alyssa has to leave for work tomorrow. We'll see what happens. In the event that I'm not able to get it all the way charged and she needs to take it, we might have to sort of interpret some numbers. But either way, we'll try to get it all charged up and calculate some figures based on electricity put back in. We are back and all charged up with the Equinox EV. Now, we were able to get it up to 100% state of charge before Alyssa left for work this morning. So she left and came back, so the charge is a little bit lower. But before we get into the final results, I want to show you a little product that has allowed us to use level 2 charging more easily at our house. This is a level 2, or I guess theoretically level 1 charging cable extension. It's made by a company called EV Dance. You can find it in the link below. But we get propositioned all the time to do sponsored stuff, and usually we say no. But if it's a product that I can actually put into use in the real world and find benefit from it, and hopefully help some of you as well, I will happily cover it. So this is an extra 20 feet of level 2 charging cable on top of the 20 feet going back to our Grizzly charger. So many of you might have dryer outlets or other 240, or your fuse box or something like that is way in the back of your garage. Maybe it's a situation where typically you bring the vehicle into the garage and so you charge in here and the short cable is not a big deal. But then sometimes something happens in the garage and you need to charge a car out in the driveway, or maybe somebody's visiting or whatever, and so you got 2 cars or something like that. So we've been able to have Alyssa's vehicle parked out here, because typically the 3 Series is in the garage, or right now there are just things. And then I've got my level 2 charger cable going right here, and then the EV Dance charger plugs in like so, and it's a actual proper rated thick extension cable that doubles the length. So I could take this and let's see how far back I could go. This is from inside my garage. I could probably, if I moved the car up a little bit and I changed where the plug cable was running, I could probably make it all the way back to the far corner of this electric vehicle in the driveway. So big shout out to EV Dance, something we've been using regularly, because if you've seen some of my other videos, we typically just charge level 1 for Alyssa's Bolt. But if there are situations like this where I need it to charge up quicker, or it's one of my review vehicles, I use the level 2 charger running all the way through. Love having that extension. So as I said, we were able to charge the Equinox all the way back up, and when we got in last night, we had a 3.1 mile per kilowatt hour average efficiency for the trip. However, that does include about a mile or so of traveling to and from the highway, maybe even about a mile and a half. So that was closer to 3 miles per kilowatt hour according to the vehicle when we had left the highway. But 209 miles remaining, 65% state of charge, and we had traveled 100.7 miles. So if we hop on over to our charger app, we see that it put in 33.7 kilowatt hours after charging overnight, and we assume about a 90% charging efficiency for level 2 charging. So let's take 33.7 times 0.9. We're going to assume 30.33 kilowatt hours actually made it back into the battery. So 100.7 miles traveled divided by that 30.33 is giving us 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. So a little bit more optimistic than the vehicle's readout, but theoretically speaking, if we're figuring about a 90% charging efficiency, maybe the charger is a little bit more efficient and the car took a little bit more charge, but I think somewhere 3.2 to 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour, great figure here for the Equinox EV. So we take that 3.3 kilowatt miles per kilowatt hour and multiply it by the 85 kilowatt hour battery pack. We're looking at just a hair over 280 miles of highway 70 mile per hour steady state driving range here on the Equinox EV. And for me, that's pretty darn good, because that means I can leave with a full charge, comfortably head out about 3 hours or so, and then stop, charge back up to about 80 or 90%, and keep on rolling. So let's see, if you're going down to 10 and then up to 90, what's 280 times 0.8? It's giving you 220 safe miles of kind of that road tripping range, if you will. So again, about 3 hours traveling at 70 miles per hour. Very doable for a car that starts at $35,000. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on our leased Equinox EV, check the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.